What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and we're back with another Super Sugo-Fest. Now, I know everyone is having a lot of issues currently with the celebration, with the fact that, while yes, we are receiving quite a lot of social media campaigns and rainbow gems, and while that is awesome, the issue is arising in the fact that there isn't a lot of content to play. I know a lot of people have been concerned about that. Just want to put it out there that anything regarding any feedback or any issues that people are having with the game, the information has been conveyed through the right channels, and all we can really hope for is that change is amended in the future. That's all we can really hope for, because currently as it stands, we've received 3 major Sugo-Fests, including this one that we'll talk about in this video today, and we haven't really received a lot of content to actually use these units on, and it is a little alarming. So, about this Sugo-Fest is going to be integrated as like the treasure map Sugo-Fest, though as I understand, none of these units are restricted to treasure maps. I believe the Luffy is a Super Sugo-Fest unit, the Yasopp and Usopp dual units are going to be generic legends. I believe that's how it's going to be structured, along with the 3 rare recruits of Zoro, Sanji, and Jinbei that are also going to be pullable on the Sugo-Fest. Now, as for when it goes live on September 9th, 1900 PST time, which is 2 days as of the release of this video, and it goes until the end of October, which is when the rest of the Film Red Sugo-Fests will be concluding, and we get a free multiple, as we can see here, which is the exact same as the Shanks banner and the Uta banner that preceded this one right here. So there are going to be 3 parts to the Sugo-Fest. This one is titled the quote-unquote finale Sugo-Fest, which would kind of insinuate that this is the final of the Film Red major Sugo-Fests, though we still have a Super Boss Kizuna that is going to be arriving towards the end of the month, and likely that's going to have some more characters regarding Film Red, though it's not going to be a Super Sugo-Fest. We'll have to wait and see how the Kizuna is going to be structured exactly. But let's talk about the Sugo-Fest here. As we said, debuting September 9th for part 1. Part 2 is going to be debuting September 10th, which features Luffy. You've also got 2 Super Sugo-Fests alongside him in Ace Yamato and also Roger. I expect there to probably be another Super Sugo-Fest that isn't featured here. I would guess that there's going to be more, but we'll have to wait and see. But then on part 3, you've got Super Tandem Luffy and Super Tandem Kaido alongside the Usopp and Yasopp, which is ridiculous. I mean, just looking at who's available on each of the parts, part 3 looks the best, no doubt in my mind. So let's go ahead and break down exactly what the Sugo-Fest is all about. The structure is the exact same as we had expected from the Shanks and the Uta banner, where on the first part you don't get any of them guaranteed on the 30th multi. I believe there's the crazy one on the 25th though, right? 25th, all posters have a 50% chance for a Sugo rare character. That's pretty cool, but 25 multis deep is ridiculous. But then you've got the part 2 of the finale Sugo-Fest, where you get the Super Sugo-Fest only Luffy, so it is confirmed right there. Luffy is a Super Sugo unit. And then you've got the Usopp and Yasopp, which is a new Sugo-Fest exclusive, so generic legend Usopp and Yasopp character. So, in terms of structures, it's the exact same as what we'd expect, and of course when we get the full breakdown and the announcement of each of the parts, I'll probably make a separate video talking about which part of the Sugo-Fest is worth pulling, but just to get it out there, because of the way that these events have been structured, you don't really need to pull on this banner. Of course, the batch is going to be useful in the treasure map, there's no doubt in my mind that's going to be the case, but the thing is though, is that like these characters, while they are really good, like, if you pulled Uta or you pulled Shanks, you probably just don't need to pull for these units. Like, you just don't. I mean, with how these events have been structured and how close these Sugo-Fests have been to each other, you just don't need to invest once again into another Super Sugo-Fest. If you've already pulled what you wanted to get out of them, this new batch really doesn't provide too much for you. So we'll go through the batch and what they do right now. We'll go through the Sugo-Fest exclusives last. Let's go through Jinbei first as the first rare recruit, Psy Fighter Powerhouse, and he has a multi-stage special, which is interesting. All the rare recruits have multi-stage special. Luffy,
Not Luffy, sorry, but Sanji, Zoro, and Jinbei. So, looking at stage 2, 13 turn cooldown does damage, Psy damage to all enemies. He reduces Psy characters cooldown by 2 turns, and then reduces threshold and defense up by 5 turns, and a 90% damage reduction for 1 turn. It's a pretty good special ability. He resists special reverse by 3 turns as well, which is pretty good, so you can use him to get around that, but only really works in a Psy-based team for the cooldown reduction. He is a damage dealing special, so there's a couple of key supports you could put on him, which is good at least. Jinbei himself does have a couple of cool supports nonetheless. But overall, like, it's just kind of okay. Like, it is an okay special, and I'm sure it's going to be useful in the treasure map in some capacity. But it's not, like, wowing me, like, oh my god, this Rare Recruit is a must-have. He just seems kind of okay. I like the fact that he does reduce those 2 defensive effects. It's kind of nice. And 90% damage reduction, so I expect that it maybe be a death hit on the treasure map. So hopefully it's not the case, because those can be very, very annoying to deal with. In terms of a support, he attaches to any Psy fighter unit, and it says, when you use the special, reduces damage taken by 25% for 1 turn. It's a pretty bad support effect. Probably not going to see play. And then his Rumble ability gives Psy characters blow away % up and crit % up level 5, and then gives a special of speed up, attack up, and crit up. Yeah, this guy's bad. This guy's just not good. It's such a shame too, because the first Jinbei that we got, you know, the previous Jinbei from Film Red, he was awesome. He was probably one of the best, if not the best, of the generic Rare Recruits from Film Red thus far. And this guy's just, he's just fine. Like, there's a lot of characters that can just do what he does. I mean, there aren't characters specifically that can remove the defensive effects and do special charge time as well, but there's a lot of characters that can sort of replace what he does. So he seems fine, but not really wowing me with that unit. The next one is Sanji, who is also Psy Fighter Powerhouse and has a multi-stage special. So you've got reducing Despair and Attack down by 4 turns. He also changes adjacent slots into matching and boosts the chain multiplier by 1.1 for 1 turn. And if your HP is 51% or above when you launch the special, he cuts your health by 50% and then reduces his special charge time by 6 turns. That's a really bizarre special ability. So it essentially means that if you're above half health, you cut your health in half, and then you can use his special again, which says that you can reduce a further 2 turns of Despair and Attack down. And then it says changes his own slot into matching. Okay, so it allows you to remove 6 turns of Despair and Attack down, adjacent slots, and his own slot into matching by using his special twice in the same turn. Like, it's fine, but it's kind of annoying too, because I have read the other characters as well. Zoro has a very similar structure to his special, so it means you can't use both in the same turn to remove 6 turns of like all these different debuffs. So he seems fine, but again, it's not like wowing me, but it works very well with the Luffy, which we'll talk about towards the end of the video. This is a very, very good special under the new Luffy legend, but outside of that, I don't really see too many situations where this is going to be like super amazing. Chain multiply boost and removing those 2 debuffs by 6 is fine though. He doesn't do damage with his special, which is unfortunate. He does make recovery slots beneficial to the crew, that's pretty good. And then his support effect, which attaches to Psy Fighters, and you get a 0.3 chain boost at the start of the final battle. It's pretty mid. I mean, most Rare Recruits, in terms of chain boosting effects, are usually around that level anyway, so it doesn't really surprise me that it's kind of average. And then you've got his Rumble abilities, so he does a small range... What is it? A small range attack level 5 and targets an enemy for 1200 fixed damage 2 times. I never really understood that, why characters have abilities to buff their own attack, but then they do a fixed damage special. Doesn't help at all. And then you've got a Rumble ability of attack and attack level 5 and speed 3, which is like fine, but yeah, again, like this Rare Recruit isn't really amazing me. He's just fine. He's a perfectly acceptable 2022 Rare Recruit character. So the last character we'll talk about before we get to the Sugo-Fest exclusives is Zoro, Psy/a Free Spirit, and actually that's really good. The fact that it's another Free Spirit Zoro character works very well with Super Tandem Luffy. Having you know, more of the Straw Hats that are Free Spirit class is very good. And then his special, very same structure to Sanji, except this time removing Bind and Paralysis by 4. He gives adjacent slots matching and gives your Psy and Slasher characters a 2 times color affinity boost for 1 turn. And then the same structure of if you're above 51% health and you use your special, you cut your health in half and you reduce your cooldown by 6, which allows you to use the special ability at stage 1, which reduces a further 2 turns of Bind and Paralysis and changes his own slot into matching. So that's cool and all, but remember it means that you can't stack Sanji and Zoro in the same turn for double special, unless if you have a healing special in between, which is a kind of iffy, but either way, it seems fine. It seems okay, like it's fine. It's kind of interesting as well because, you know, when we had the Super Tandem Luffy come out during the anniversary, we had a Zoro and a Sanji rare recruit, and I believe one of them was color affinity and another one was a chain boost. I think literally the exact same units, like where Zoro was a color affinity and then Sanji was a chain booster, and it's the same kind of thing here. So that's a little bizarre. Don't know why they decided to do that again. You would have thought at least switching them would make sense, but that's fine. I mean, for Slasher and Sai units to get color affinity is pretty good. And then he also makes tandem slots beneficial as a crewmate, which is kind of redundant because we have the Whale Shark ship now, which is just kind of good for that. But it's fine, at least it's somewhat usable. And then crewmate ability, or support effect, attaching to a Sai Slasher unit. And once per quest, if you use a special, boosts type effects of normal attacks, color affinity, of Sai and Slashers by 1.3. That is a very good support. I think Zoro is definitely the best of the 3 rare recruits. He's really good utility, color affinity, and a very usable support effect that is likely going to see play in some capacity. So I like that. Rumble ability, going to give Sai units 5 HP, 3 attack, and then also give himself defense 5, attack 5, and provoke for 20 seconds. Provoking, not really a big fan of because it's kind of stupid when you've got access to AoE damaging specials. Provoke just is kind of pointless at that point. So Zoro in Pirate Rumble, I mean, all these characters in Pirate Rumble are just bad, but I think Zoro in regular play probably is the best of the rare recruits. But now we get to the Sugo-Fest exclusive characters, and the first one here is going to be Usopp and Yasopp. So remember that this should be a generic legend that can be pullable on anything else moving forward, very similar to Chopper on Uta's banner, very similar to Beckman and Lucky Roo on Shanks's banner. So that's cool, and I think that this is a really fitting Sugo-Fest exclusive character. I think a lot of people are going to be fans of that. But let's see what they actually do. So let's go through Usopp first. So Usopp is a Sai Shooter Free Spirit, and he's going to boost Shooter and Free Spirit. So he's boosting both classes by 4.75, 1.3 health. Sai slots are matching, and boost the chances of you landing Sai slots. And whenever you take damage, delay all enemies by 1 turn, ignoring immunity to status effects. That's pretty cool. You know, whenever you take damage, you just instantly delay them. That's kind of cool. I don't mind that, but it does require you to take damage, so I don't know how useful that's actually going to be. But I wonder if an enemy does a preemptive damage to you. I'm pretty sure that counts, because, you know, we've had captain abilities in the past, like some of the Blackbeards, right? Whenever you take damage, reduce his cooldown by like 2 turns or whatever it was. That effect would still activate if you took preemptive damage, so I assume it's the same here. Yeah, when taking damage from the enemy, delays all enemies for 1 turn. So if you walk into a stage, the enemy does damage to you with their preemptive, you immediately delay them. I think that's actually pretty sick. That's not bad at all. Okay, so that's Usopp's captain ability. Let's have a look at Yasopp. So it looks to be the exact same, but with quick slots instead of Sai slots. And then Yasopp himself is a quick shooter free spirit. Okay, no complaints there at the moment. Their base captains being 4.75 is perfectly acceptable in my eyes as a dual unit. I don't see a real problem with that. So then we'll have a look at their dual captain, which is a 5.25 times boost to shooter and free spirit. Quick and Sai slots matching, boost the chances of quick and Sai slots, and once again, if you take damage, delay them by 1 turn, ignoring status effects. Okay, so captain ability wise, it seems fine, but the problem here is that if you're running a shooter team, I don't see why you would use this character over Beckman and Lucky Roo. I think Beckman and Lucky Roo are by far and away the far superior shooter captain to be using. The only real benefit that you get by using this guy over Beckman and Lucky Roo is that you will have a higher chance of getting matching slots. And that's one of the problems that Lucky Roo and Ben Beckman have, is that they don't have very secure ways to get those slots. You have to rely on a lot of specials to do that, or crewmate effects, or other beneficial effects. So by having a captain ability that can kind of allow you to get more slots is good, but at the end of the day, if I want to run a shooter team, I'm likely using Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo as the captain because they give you minus cooldown, so it makes your team faster, and their captain ability to remove defensive effects is just so broken that I would much prefer to use that over this, for example, which this is perfectly acceptable, but I think Beckman Lucky Roo as a captain is better. Let's have a look at the special though. So the special will boost shooter and free spirit characters' base attack by 1250 for 1 turn. 1250 is fine, it's fine, and then boost damage dealt to delayed enemies by 2.25 for 1 turn. Okay, that's pretty good. A 2.25 times conditional against delayed enemies. If there are delayed enemies when you launch the special, extend the duration of your delay by 1 turn. I don't think we've seen a special that does that. I don't think we've seen any effect in the game that extends the duration of your delay. I think that's actually new. That's cool. Delay all enemies by 1 turn, ignoring immunity to delay or status effects if your captain is a shooter or a free spirit class and becomes Usopp and Yasopp for 3 turns. No matter what, if your captain is shooter or free spirit, you're getting a delay, guaranteed delay through immunity and a delayed conditional boost and a 1250 base attack boost. I just don't think it does enough. Like, this is a perfectly okay special, but the problem arises with the fact that that's all it does. One of the real big problems with shooters is they don't have really good utility. Like, they need better paralysis, special bind removers, like characters that do those type of things. More matching slots would always be good. They probably need a better attack booster, but Beckman Lucky Root provide an attack boost via their super type, so there's that. So I think the special ability is lacking. There just needed to be something else. Maybe like change all slots into like Quick and Sight or something like that, or some type of way to give you slots. I think that would have been better as a special, because I don't think it's that great. Like, it's fine, but Beckman Lucky Root are just better. They just are. I don't know what to say. They just are. They do have barrier penetration, which is good. You love to see that. But one thing we need to have a look at is their swap effect, so we'll check that in just a second. Immune to blindness is actually a very good effect, though they don't have fear resistance, so if you're inflicted with that, you have to find other ways around it. Luckily, you can have the Markiner support attached to this guy, so that's kind of cool. Boosting characters, well, boosting the crew's base stats by 150 is actually very good too. So let's have a look at their switch effect. So the switch effect gives a resistance down, minus 15% for shooter and free spirit for 1 turn, and then changes their own slot into matching and completely removes their paralysis and their despair. So if you're using him as a captain, you can use their switch effect to get around despair, but it means if both captains are despaired and you use one of their specials in the previous stage, you can't swap because they're still in the duel unit. So there's an inherent flaw with characters that remove their own despair completely, because it means, you know, just running double of that unit, you have a problem. It means that you really have to make sure that the character is available to switch when you enter the final stage or whenever you are inflicted with despair, which can be a bit finicky. It can be a problem. Removing the paralysis is like kind of whatever, because removing the crew's paralysis is way more valuable than just removing one character's paralysis. So switch effect wise, the way that I see this switch effect is in most cases you're using it for resistance down and giving themselves a slot. That's the way that I will see it, right? Then you've got their super switch, which is 6 turns to get their super switch. So it's a 30% resistance this time around. That's kind of lame actually, because didn't we have Kinemon and Denjiro? And didn't they apply like way more? Like, wasn't it like minus 50% with their switch, and then it was like a minus 100%? I can't remember exactly. Maybe I'm getting it wrong there. But minus 30% feels a little low for a super switch. I think that should have been at least 50%. And it also changes character slot and adjacent slots into matching, so more matching slots is always good. And completely removes their paralysis and despair. I don't know about you guys, but this guy just seems kind of okay. Like, there just needed to be more here. There needed to be an additional effect somewhere in this kit. It feels like it's lacking something. It's lacking a little bit of something, you know what I mean? So let's have a look at their Rumble kit, because their Rumble kit I'm also very, very invested in, because I have a lot of shooters ready to go for Rumble, so I'm very, very excited to see what this is all about. Shooter characters, level 6 attack, level 6 speed, level 6 health. No problems there. I would like to have seen some CT increase. That would have been nice. Another thing that's a little bit of an issue is that this character will have some overlap with the recently released Pirate Rumble Rare Recruit Usopp. Terrible, terrible design choice to have Usopp from last month be the Pirate Rumble Rare Recruit character, because you can't use him with this new Usopp and Yasopp. It's so dumb. Like, why wasn't Usopp one of the Rare Recruits from the previous batch, and then have like Robin or Nami be the Rumble Rare Recruit that buffed Cerebral? That would make so much more sense. And then you have Kizaru released this month to buff shooters as well. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. So Rumble ability wise though, it's fine, it's good, it's a perfectly okay Rumble ability. 28 CT is actually very respectable. He targets 3 enemies with 100% CT for a 100% chance of halving their stats for 15 seconds. That is so good. That is really, really, really good. But it is also bad in a certain way as well, because he only targets characters or enemies that have max specials ready to go. So that can actually whiff a lot of the time. Like, if all of the enemies launch all their specials and then this guy launches, he doesn't give half stats to anybody. That can definitely be a problem, but at least half stats is kind of nice, because that's one of the things that shooters kind of lack with. They don't have a lot of heavy damage dealing specials. So if you have a way to reduce their stats so that the other specials do more damage makes sense. And also having stats means they do less damage to you. So I guess there are some good uses for this, but only targeting 100% CT characters is a problem. I wish it was just target 3 characters with the highest special CT. That would have made more sense. He also targets 3 driven class enemies for 100% chance of special bind for 8 seconds. Driven class enemies. That's bizarre, man. That's really bizarre. Only driven characters are inflicted with special bind. 100% for 8 seconds. That's kind of weird. And then he also targets 3 enemies for 2,500 fixed damage. That's fine. I think this guy's good. This guy's definitely going to be a good asset to the shooter team. Like, you probably run this guy, you run Beckman, you can still run 6+ Kizaru, you can run the new Kizaru, Zephyr is still kind of okay. Shooters do need a little bit more help. I think this is good, but it's still not enough to really get them up to that next echelon, I think. He's going to be good, though. He's going to be fine. And then you've got his other effects, which is probably nothing too crazy. He evades special bind and reduces damage from fighter characters. So he debuffs driven, but he also takes less damage from fighters. Like, pick a side, bro. What are you doing? I do think this may have a little bit of a hint towards like 6+ Uta. Like 6+ Uta might be fighter driven. That would make sense too. We'll have to wait and see what they're all about. But Usopp and Yasopp, they seem perfectly okay. But now we get to talk about the main man of the hour, which is going to be Monkey D. Luffy. So Monkey D. Luffy is a Psy fighter free spirit. Surprise, surprise, fighter free spirit. Let's have a look. He's a super type character. His captain ability is going to boost Psy fighter free spirit characters by 5x, and then boosts their attack by 5.5 in the turn that you use his special ability. Right? So that's pretty good so far. And then it says, if Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Nami, Chopper, Robin, Frankie, Brook, or Shanks is in the crew, when you use their special, or it says is a crewmate. You gotta specify that actually, because it says if one of those characters is a crewmate, which means that if it's in the captain position, it doesn't count. I'm pretty certain on that one, because when it specifies crewmate, it means one of your bottom 4 characters. That could actually screw a lot of people up. So if you plan to run like a free-to-play sort of team and run like a Zoro or one of the Straw Hats as a captain and then a friend Luffy, this effect might not activate. So just be cautious of that. But if you have one of those characters as a crewmate and they use a special, completely removes this character's special bind and sets this character's special charge to max. This can be activated up to 5 times total during a quest, up to 3 times in a single turn. That is absolutely ridiculous. The fact that this Luffy can just get complete special bind removal on himself and a max special charge is completely insane. Though you are restricted in how many times you can do that. But, I mean, okay, that's a lot to take, right? The thing is as well, right, he completely removes his own special bind. The thing is, though, is that if you're inflicted with special bind, a lot of the times when you're inflicted with special bind, it's not just to one unit. A lot of the times, it's a lot of characters on your crew. So, if you're inflicted with special bind, then, you know, if you have a unit that resists special bind, then use their special, completely gets rid of Luffy's special bind, that's kind of cool. And completely sets his special charge to max, which allows you to use his special multiple times per turn. So, we're expecting his special ability to have multiple different effects here. So, that's cool. But another thing I just want to address here as well, right? He doesn't provide any health boost, he doesn't give you any cooldown at the start of the quest, he doesn't give you beneficial slots, there's no damage reduction, there's no healing effects. So this guy realistically is just providing raw damage, and that's it. Just raw damage. And I don't know how I feel about that. I like the uniqueness of his captain ability, but the issue is if you're trying to use him in like somewhat difficult content, like yeah, he hits really hard, but he doesn't give you a lot else outside of that. So his special ability has to carry pretty hard, right? It has to carry pretty hard. So let's have a look at the super type. So if you do use him as a captain, you get access to the super type, and you need 2 or more of the following characters on the crew, and it's one of the Straw Hats or Shanks. That's pretty harsh. Actually, hang on a second. The way I'm reading this, it says when there's 2 or more characters on the crew, and it says one of the Straw Hats. But then after Jinbei, there's a semicolon, and it says or Shanks is on the crew. So the way that I think, right, is you need 2 of the Straw Hats or just 1 Shanks. That's it, and then you can activate it. I'm pretty sure due to the semicolon in the wording of this effect, that is the way that it would work. But anyways, the effect, 120 times attack in non-type damage to a single target. That's a little underwhelming. and it does go through all defensive effects, including base defense, and then reduces your crewmates' special charge time by 2 turns, and then Psi characters become Super Psi units. Yeah, so that's interesting. So it's focusing on buffing your crewmates. And of course, if you're running those Straw Hats, you want to get those cooldowns down so that when you use their special abilities, Luffy special becomes max. So it is weird, but at least it is a way to semi-get around special reverse, right? Because if you have your Straw Hats, they get special reverse, you have Luffy's super type to reduce their cooldowns by 2, double Luffy by 4 turns, which is pretty cool, and then you can use their special abilities, Luffy's set to max. There are ways to get around special bind with that, which is cool, but you know who else gets around special bind just passively by themselves? Legend Uta. Legend Uta gets around it by herself with no help whatsoever. So there's that. Either way, let's have a look at this special ability because they're really focusing in and honing in on this special. So there's a lot to digest here. Deals 200 times his attack in typeless damage to a single target. I wish it was AoE. I wish it was AoE. Ignoring all defensive effects, which is fine. He then will boost Fighter and Free Spirit and Psi characters' attack by 3.25. 3.25. That's a big boost. That's a big attack boost. He does that for 1 turn. If the crew has an attack buff status when the special is launched, probably gives an all boost, right? Boost Psi, Fighter, and Free Spirit characters' slot effect boost by 2.75 for 1 turn. Okay. Understandable so far. If the crew has an attack buff and a slot effect boost active, changes all slots, including block, into matching, and further increases the crew's attack buff and slot effect boost by 0.25. Okay, so if you're able to use the special ability 3 times in a turn, you'll get a 3.5 attack and a 3 times all boost and a full board of matching slots. That's a lot of buffs. If the character has used Ending King Cobra 4 times, which is his special ability, and the crew does not have an attack buff active, he boosts Psi, Fighter, and Free Spirit character slot effect boost by 2.75 for 1 turn. So I was really confused about this last component, about like what does it mean if the character has used the special 4 times or more and the crew does not have an attack buff active. The thing is, whenever you launch the special, the first effect you get is an attack buff. So I don't understand this, but the way that it works is essentially on the 5th activation of the special, when you launch it, you're getting the attack buff and the orb buff immediately. So that's pretty cool, that you can kind of stack one Luffy, launch a bunch of specials, then on the 5th activation, you get the attack and orb buff, and then you can activate like a Friend Captain SNAKEMAN, which will give you the full board of slots and then the buffing effect. I think that's the way that it's supposed to work. It seems kind of interesting. And remember that you can launch this special multiple times per quest due to his captain ability, where whenever one of your crewmates that are a Straw Hat or a Shanks uses their special, it will remove his special bind and give him max special straight away. So that allows this unit to launch this special so often. But this is kind of cool, right? Even if you're not aiming to get the max boost of 3.5 attack, 3 times orbs, full board of slots, you can just say, right, on so many different stages, you can just continuously get a 3.25 times attack boost on so many different stages, so long as you're launching one of these specials to reverse Luffy's cooldown. I really dig that. I think that's probably one of the best ways to use this unit, is instead of just stacking it all in one stage at the end, you can just go ahead and have this unit continuously giving heaps of buffs every single turn. I kind of like that way of using Luffy a bit better. It makes it easier to click content, but it does require you to use other specials alongside that, and that is why we have the characters of the Zoro and the Sanji, which have these really weird specials that, upon using it, if you're above 50%, you get cut in half, but then it reduces his cooldown again, so you can use stage 1. So it allows you to use 2 special activations immediately with Sanji or Zoro, so that you can get 2 special launches with Luffy. So you can kind of understand and comprehend how this is supposed to work. It's very bizarre in terms of how he is actually built, but you can understand how it works. So he's interesting, but then again, I don't think this is a character you need to ultimately go out of your way to get. He's good, but I don't think he's going to be the end-all be-all. I still think, personally, that Uta is a far superior character to what this Luffy does. I think she's way better. But either way, we're not done yet. He's completely immune to paralysis and special reverse, so if you use him as a crewmate, you can just resist those. And also, whenever he's used as a crewmate, he reduces his special charge by 4 turns anytime you receive damage. That is crazy. Anytime you receive damage, reduce his cooldown by 4 turns. That is really good. I love that effect on that Luffy. That's so good. Let's have a look at the potential abilities. He's got pinch healing, 2 times heal below 50. He has critical hit, but it's 80% chance for 8%. For a Super Sugo-Fest exclusive, you gotta give him the best of the best, and this is not the best of the best. He does have Final Tap, so that's no real surprise here. Final Tap ability on the turn that the special is launched during the final battle. So you have to reach the last stage and launch his special on the last stage to get this to activate. So let's have a look at the first level, because the first level is what most people will have. And it says it boosts his base attack by 750, and it makes his normal attacks hit all enemies for 1 turn. Oh, bro, I can't wait to test this out. Oh, man, I can't wait to test this out. That's going to be so good versus the worst generation Garb challenge, too. Just destroy everything in 1 hit. That's so cool. And then level 5, boost his base attack by plus 2,000 and AoE damage. That's kind of mid, man. He doesn't even give himself a beneficial slot. Like, why not even just change his own slot into Wano or something? Or even change his own slot through block into matching, and then do this. That's underwhelming. I think his Final Tap effect is actually very underwhelming. Very concerned about that. Considering how difficult it is to get, you know, these characters to level 5 Final Tap, it's a very underwhelming ability, I must admit. His support effect attaches to all units and only provides 13% base stats. Man, that's not good. That just ain't good. I mean, it's a Luffy character. You got to give him at least a unique support, right? There's so many Luffys in the game that I'm not a fan of that either. That's kind of annoying. And then you got his Rumble stuff. So he provides Psy characters attack 6, guard 6, HP 6. It's a pretty good Rumble ability. And then 33 seconds target Psy teammates for attack 5, defense 5, and self-activate provoke, and then also interval healing. Bro! Oh my god, how are you going to make SNAKEMAN a defensive style unit? It literally makes no sense. SNAKEMAN is the opposite of defensive. He is full out offense. Even you can see with his special ability, right? But they made him defensive focused? Like, what the hell? Whose idea was this? And on a 33 CT, mind you, as well, that is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. Not a fan of this at all. This guy is not going to see play in Rumble. I don't care how you build teams. This guy ain't never going to see any play in Rumble. Maybe as a defensive side team. But even then, 33 CT for a special like this? Hell no. Yeah, this guy's bad. This guy's just bad in Rumble. I'm sorry. Sorry if you guys were excited to use this guy in Rumble. He's just not that good. But in regular content, of course, we got to look at that. He is a good unit. Definitely on the level of a Super Sugo-Fest unit with all of the really cool gimmicks that he has. But, Uta exists, and I think Uta is a far superior character. We don't even know what Uta 6 Plus is going to be yet, and we're still waiting to see what that's going to be. I think Uta has the highest potential to be a good character compared to, you know, Shanks or this guy right here. So, realistically speaking, you don't have to pull on this Sugo-Fest. No. I'm going to be doing pulls. We're going to be live streaming our pulls, and hopefully we can get some good luck on the release of the Sugo. But with all that being said, that is going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching it, and if you guys enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.